and welcome back. It is Marvel Monday, and I'm here with a returning special guest, the one, the only, the ridiculous Mr. Worldwide. Yes, there's no Teets this week. He is currently flying back home to Wisconsin from an action-packed, fun-filled long weekend in Orlando. Thanks to all of you guys who watched this past weekend. We did 2 live streams that I think were really fantastic. We were there for the return opening night of Happily Ever After fireworks at Magic Kingdom. And then we also got there and out to stream a live show of Epcot Forever at Epcot. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit that red subscribe button and check out some of our past streams from this week. Also, another programming note, Teets will be back, and he will be here with me tomorrow for a happiest hour on Tuesday for another very special episode of Teets' Tuesday Takes. And this Tuesday, we are talking all about his trip to Orlando. He did Universal, he did Volcano Bay, he did Velocicoaster, there was fireworks, there was everything. So we have so much to talk about tomorrow. And then, of course, I've got Courtney, Nola Disney Mama, and I are here every Wednesday, also at 8 for Wind Down Wednesday. But let's kick it over to my co-host today over here, Mr. Worldwide. He was with us for, I want to say, Thor the Dark World. But for maybe new subscribers to the stream who have not met you, why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. Worldwide?
I'm Mr. Worldwide, a.k.a. Mr. Balsahard, a.k.a. the patron saint of dive bars. I'm coming live with not a lot of some Marvel expertise, but I'm happy to be here filling in for Mr. Worldwide Jr. Teets out and about, all over, traveling all over the place. So I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to a fun evening, breaking down the nuances of this film, and like I said, coming to bring the noise. We always ball so hard. So my Reverend freaks out there, Bill Weller, Antique 107. We'll enjoy that tonight for the kids. Let's roll.
So so you were last with us for Thor the Dark World. Let's go ahead and kind of run through your favorite Marvel character is Deadpool. But who's your favorite Avenger, since this Monday night stream is largely dedicated to the Avengers?
Of the Avengers, of these cats, and this one, this sounds lame. I'm a big Clint fan. I love Hawkeye, mostly because comic book based. I like some of the stories, especially he's a hipster in Brooklyn. That's a cool storyline when they kind of reinvented him. I was a big Black Widow fan, for obvious reasons. But I like Hulk too. Like, I'm a Hulk guy. Hulk smash. Just the essence of kind of who he is. Simple man, often misunderstood, much like myself. So I think Hulk too.
So it's funny that you mentioned Hawkeye. So at the Crescent Lake Club, if you guys are following us on any of our social medias, mostly Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, we are doing Christmas in July with the Crescent Lake Club, which means all of our different shows and different features, we're going to be giving away stuff to you, our followers and viewers. Yeah. So here's the secret Marvel update. So when we reach a certain subscriber level here on YouTube, and it may happen tonight, we're already going to be giving away a Disney gift card. But if we reach a specific subscriber level on our Marvel shows, we've got the Amazon exclusive Victory Shawarma Hawkeye Funko.
Hawkeye, 757 in the house. Nice.
Yeah, so all of the Victory Shawarmas, you can see that the 3 that are already released, they all actually fit together. So it looks like they're having Victory Shawarma together, which I thought was fun, since at Marvel's Avengers Campus at Disneyland, the whole theming of all the quick service food and beverage is shawarma. So this is what, if you're a Marvel fan, check out our social media to learn how you could possibly win this Funko. I think it's really cute. I also like Clint. I think Clint is a great character. He's probably he's not a top 3, but he's a top 5 for me. And it's cool because we get a lot of Clint in this movie.
Yes.
So basically the premise, we are doing a chronological rewatch of all of the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we are fully fledged in the third phase, which basically is heading on to Endgame, to the Infinity War and to Endgame. Because tonight we're going to be talking about Captain America: Civil War. I've got a lot of hot takes on this movie. I know Mr. Worldwide has some hot takes too, and his kind of. So this episode is going to be a little different than what you guys who watch every week are used to seeing me and Teets talk about, because Mr. Worldwide wants to delve into more of the theatrical aspects of it versus just the straight up storyline about the movie and the characters. In the plot.
That's not necessarily true. I just feel like, somebody who's seen the film numerous times, we don't have to get too tedious with the recap, is all I'm trying to say. But if people enjoy it, I'm more than happy to. That's fine. But let's reset first of all. This is Captain America: Civil War. Came out in 2016. This would be the 13th film in the MCU, and this is actually the first film of Phase 3, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. So this is where it begins. Released on April 27, 2016. And, I'm sorry, that was internationally in the United States, May 6, 2016. Released in the States. So, Civil War.
And it comes in, it's a long one. So it's at 147 minutes. So it's almost 2.5 hours. And like Mr. Worldwide said, there is a plot to it, but
a massive plot. They got to fit tons of stuff in there. That's why it's so long. It's kind of essential.
But it's not so much of a plot as like we've seen and everything else. The plot of Civil War is basically, by the end of this movie, you will have seen every character that will remain important or is important to Infinity War saga. So by the time we finish this movie, everyone who will play an important part we have met. And now we're starting to see how they work in tandem together, how they don't work together at all, and just kind of some of the bonds that have formed, and also their acceptance into this overarching Avengers group, how other members of the Avengers feel about it, and basically who your day-to-day Avengers are versus we've got a couple guys that we've seen plenty of times before are just kind of out there doing their own Avenger things that will play an important role as well.
I like those more blue-collar Avengers. That's me, blue-collar Avengers. No fancy pants Avengers.
So Mr. Worldwide is going to be playing the role of Teets tonight and doing play-by-play for multiple reasons, mostly because he's better at it, and I enjoy the role that I play. I enjoy the role that I play on these episodes, but also now I did a rewatch of it on a flight home last week, and now that I've seen WandaVision and now that I've seen all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the first hour really, really hit me hard in an emotional place when it comes to some of these characters. So I think it'd be hard for me to do a little bit of the play-by-play. So I'm going to interject with just some things. We typically try and avoid spoilers for the first 30 minutes. So that's what I'm going to go with. If anything relates to kind of like WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'll try and hold that over into the second half of the show. But so Avengers, Civil War, we always have to start in a backstory. Nothing ever really just starts present day. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Worldwide to get us started with Captain America: Civil War.
Civil War. So apparently it starts in 91, I guess. There's some Hydra operatives, and I think there is some Siberian facility, and they find Bucky, our Winter Soldier, and he's like in one of those whatever states. He's like frozen, lockdown, whatever. They use the little tricks that they use, the trigger words, and then one of the guys, Karpov, I think his name is, he orders him to intercept this automobile and take it over and steal, I guess, the super soldier serum, I guess is what it is. I don't know. Apparently so. Yeah. Anyway, and then you move to that happens, really cool, whatever. Then they take you to the present day. And Frank Grillo, my main man, Frank Grillo, who plays Rumlow, I think you say Rumlow. Him and his crew is like cool super soldier type, not super soldier, they're cool looking soldiers anyway. They want to steal this chemical weapon in Nigeria. and it's a mission gone bad. It goes crazy. The Avengers come in, they do their stuff. Very, I would say, very violent for the Avengers. Lots of guns and shooting, and one thing I thought of, those cats, the bad guys. I'm assuming wearing body armor, but like, dude, Falcon shoots like 10 dudes, like right in the chest, point blank. So,
well, and he's
are we
so
thinking do they live? Do we think they live because they got armor, or they're dead?
He's planning to just take them out. So wherever you want your
killing
imagination
dudes.
to roam for what take them out means. And the best part is Falcon is on the radio. He can see everything, and he's basically just calling out to the Avengers that are on the ground, which is Black Widow and Captain America and
Wanda's there.
Their new BFF, the Scarlet Witch. She's all in on Avengers activities. And he's just basically counting down. I think they start off with 12 or 14, and he's just taking them out, and he's just counting down 7, 6, 5, like how many just remaining members of Crossbones' crew that are out there that the Avengers may have to encounter to stop Crossbones.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So again, the Avengers do their job. They get the biological weapon, but then Captain America, what's his name? Crossbones. They duke it out. They have a lot. Let me tell you what, this movie, a lot of hand fighting, kids. If you want to watch some punches be thrown, this movie's got, they just punch each other. They're tired. 2 hours and 2.5 hours. Anyway, they got their little fight. Captain America wins the fight, but then, dude, Crossbones tries to take him out. Suicide mission, tries to blow everybody up. Wanda sees it, does her Wanda stuff, kind of like catches energy, the impact, saves Captain America, but throws it like in a building, killing a bunch of relief workers from our favorite place, Wakanda. So that did not go over well with anyone.
So yeah, we also do get a glimpse that in the time that has passed, our boy Steve has been working with our girl Wanda to kind of perfect her capabilities and how she's able to harness energy. So at one point where they're going into the building, there's gas released, and Steve radios, okay, Wanda, like, take it out. And she's able to pull all of the caustic gas out of the building so the Avengers can go in there and try and stop Rumlow from getting the biological weapon. But nothing ever works out for even the most truest and kindest of hearted Avengers, because boy, they fucked this one up.
They killed a bunch of people. They killed more people than COVID in that damn thing. They just they killed tons of people. So it was wild.
And Wanda takes it really, really hard. This is the first death on her hands. She didn't mean to. It wasn't at all.
She was like, my bad, dog. But
and the last thing they wanted to do was to hurt absolutely innocent people. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind. So then next we get to Tony, and he's having. I'll spare this. He's doing some dumbass Tony bullshit. The only important part is that after his done presentation in the hallway, and the lady confronts her, and it's like, listen, my son was killed in the Battle of Ultron, Sokovia, yada, yada, yada. It's so sad. He was so promising, and then it's just typical, not great storytelling, not a great whatever. So Tony feels bad. Oh no, we realize there's lives at stake. There's a cost with what we do and whatever. So typical baby cry shit.
In typical narcissist fashion, which I think we've established, Tony Stark is textbook case narcissist.
Yeah.
He's the Rachel Nichols of this whole operation.
Oh, hot take.
But nothing really matters to Tony Stark until he is confronted with it
that
publicly.
Dumb facial hair. It's all that matters is the dumb facial hair.
Yes. Nothing ever bothers Tony Stark. He feels no need to address it. He's just going to keep doing his Tony thing until he is publicly shamed for it. And so Marion Sharp, who comes in to tell the story about her son and force him to take a picture of this kid, her deceased son, with him, that constitutes the public shaming that now Tony Stark has got to get involved and try and do something worthwhile and good about this. And of course, because he's such a narcissist, it still is all about him. He takes it in the wrong fucking direction, and he gets Thaddeus Ross involved. So what happens there?
And if I were me, like, Tony's supposed to be a scientist, I would be like, sorry, I'm really sorry, Miss Sharp. But you know what? Anecdotal evidence. One person. Who cares? Like, we got the whole world here. Sorry, I know it sucks, but that's what I would have said. But whatever. So yeah, so you get Thaddeus Ross involved. They get the Avengers together, and they're all there, and he explains them that they show like the montage footage of previous movies, New York and DC and Sokovia and Lagos and everything. But that was this movie, but you know what I mean. That the United Nations now is like, no, you cannot go rogue, Avengers. We need to kind of get a committee to control you guys. They want to sign something called the Sokovia Accords. That was approved by 117 countries. But you know what? They ain't got Avengers, so kind of F them. So whatever. Anyway, so obviously Tony Stark was all rah, rah, rah. We need oversight. You know, we got to do this. What's right? We can't unfettered power, whatever. And Keels, what about Steve Rogers? Where's his side in this?
Steve Rogers, one, doesn't want to be told anything by Tony Stark. Two, he doesn't like being ambushed by Thaddeus Ross. And I'd like to also point out that P.Y. Tony Stark, when all of this is going on, he's already committed. His dog has a place in this hunt, and it is with Thaddeus Ross. So Tony can't even sit at a table with his fellow Avengers. He is over in the corner, just chewing on his nails, just waiting how this is going to go, because it's going to go exactly the way that Tony Stark knew it was going to go. Him flexing power and oversight over a group that he's not the leader of. Essentially, Steve Rogers, as the creative Avenger, runs the Avengers. He is the part of the government project that created the Avengers. So if anyone's going to lead the group and answer to the government, it is going to be Steve Rogers. Unfortunately, Tony can't deal with that because he's a dickhead. And so once again, this is why you can't have a billionaire be involved in bureaucracy, because you get brought to this point right now where we have all the Avengers having to figure this out for each other and argue and debate something that has already been decided for them by Tony Stark. So what happens when it comes time to sign the Sokovia Accords?
So, well, I'd like to also illustrate, just real quick, shed some light on Rogers' position. He's made concerns that he's worried about you get another entity involved, that entity could be infiltrated, and it would then they would control the Avengers. He's worried about that.
Because let's be honest, every time the government has been involved with the Avengers, something always gets screwed up too.
Yeah.
And the person who's right there with Tony Stark doing all of this, James Rhodes, the War Machine, was behind the first gone rogue attempt by the government with the Avengers. So these two guys need to just take a seat and sit this one out, kind of like Rachel Nichols with the NBA Finals. But alas, they can't. So they are going to side with the government, and that's, again, Steve Rogers' point. Also, if there's a person that has oversight and that leads the Avengers, it's Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not Tony Stark and Stark Industries. So there is a hierarchy and a chain of command that involves the Avengers, and nowhere in that does Tony Stark outrank anyone at that table. But because Tony Stark got shamed, he needs to be the public face, because again, it's always about Tony. He needs to be the public face of the Avengers doing the right thing.
That's right. Tony has done it again. So then we go to the Karpov, who got the initial Winter Soldier opening scene. He's ambushed by Helmut Zemos, very important in this movie, who asks about that old mission, and then Karpov tells him nothing, and then Zemo kills him in a kind of cool way, cool dramatic fashion. Then we debate about we go to the Accords, and then Rogers learns that Peggy Carter kicks the bucket. He goes to London, and then he learns about Shannon Carter's great niece, whatever, the eulogy.
Oh, here, I want to take a 20 and just go back to it. So not only is it Tony being a narcissist, he feels like he has to take responsibility for the whole Ultron thing, because we forget that Tony's one that created Ultron, that got them all into the Sokovia mess to begin with. How about maybe Tony, you sit out Avengers stuff and not blame everybody else? So again, this is Tony trying to save face for everything he created and got taken advantage of, and he's making all the Avengers pay the price for it.
Yeah.
So he goes to the funeral. Because
that's very good.
Tony Stark
goes to the funeral. Listens to
he's
Sharon
a pallbearer.
Yeah, he's a pallbearer because he's big and strong. He can do it by himself, one, two, balls out, or whatever. So listens. And listen to eulogies about how no one should ever back down what they believe in. So Roger's listening, he's nodding, and then he learns like Wanda is basically imprisoned in the facility by Vision. So now he's really upset. Yeah.
So who ordered? Well, first we find this out.
Tony Stark orders. Yeah. Vision.
So
Wanda.
who also shows up at the funeral? So we have two current members of the Avengers at the funeral. First, obviously, is Steve mourning his love, Peggy. But this is something that got me because she is one of my favorite characters. We see our girl Natasha there to offer moral and emotional support to be there condolences. To be there for Steve. And this just comes to reveal even more that while Black Widow may not have the best, most badass, fight qualities and stuff, she's just a ninja. That's really all she is. It's just a trained assassin. She is absolutely 100% the heart and the moral compass of the Avengers because she doesn't want to fight. She tries to see everybody's side of everything, and she's always there to support them. And even the peripheral members of the Avengers or the players that operate in this kind of magical world that they're all in. You agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, totally, dude. Yeah, definitely.
So, like Mr. Worldwide was saying, so then we find out that Vision is under the orders of Tony, is kidnapped Wanda, and I mean, she wasn't going to do anything. She is still so despondent over killing those innocent people. She wasn't going to do anything anyway, but let's just pour some salt in the wounds, and we're going to imprison her until she does what Tony Stark wants her to do or thinks she needs to do. Yeah. So we're going to see the relationship between Wanda and Vision evolve because they don't like each other at all.
That's true.
All right, keep going.
Okay, so then they go to Vienna. They want to sign the Accords. Oh no, terrorist attack. T'Chaka, King of Wakanda, killed it.
So a little bit before that, again, it's so at the UN, the Avengers, we know that Steve is somewhere in Vienna. He can't stay away, but the representative from the Avengers to attend the UN meeting is, once again, Natasha. And she has a great moment with T'Challa, who is the son of T'Chaka, the king of Wakanda, who is going to give a speech to the UN about what happened to his countrymen from the fallout from the Avengers bomb, all of that. But we get to see a really sweet moment between T'Chaka and T'Challa. We get to see conversations, see great diplomatic stuff between Natasha and T'Challa, which also makes me think if any of the Avengers needs to be speaking to members of the UN or someone like Thaddeus Ross, it shouldn't be Tony Stark. It should be Natasha. But anyway, we get a kind of a mystery guy goes and sets off a bomb outside the UN, and it kills T'Chaka. T'Challa's father. T'Challa immediately takes his king ring and vows vengeance. And I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, it's believed to be that there's security footage. Bucky's there, so they immediately think it's him. So at that point, Captain America's like, dude. He goes behind Ross's back, and he's like, I'm going to bring in Bucky because he wants to protect him. He doesn't want to get, he wants to be the guy to bring him in because he knows something's going on in his brain. He knows all that stuff. So,
well, and like Natasha's like, don't do this. Let's give this like 12 hours just for the dust to settle to go and do this, or let's all get on the same page to go get it because Bucky's a wild card. He's just a wild card. And
he's Bucky.
Steve and Sam, like, nah, we got to go save our buddy.
Yep.
And so this is probably the most.
Sam hates him, but whatever.
Sam hates him, but he loves Steve, and it's his role.
Right. Yeah.
So
he's his man, his right hand man. So anyway, wild action ensues. You have Black Panther fighting Bucky, and they're trying.
Well, which they don't know who they don't know. They don't know who Black Panther is. So they're like, who is this? Sam is like, who is this guy? Get this guy off me. And they don't figure out who the Black Panther is until they're all arrested for obstruction of justice. And he has to take his mask off, and it's T'Challa. And it's like,
it's like, Your Highness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sir.
Your Highness. So they have this wild action ensues for seemingly forever, car chases and flips, and they're all like fighting each other. This is the whirlwind. Anyway, yes, they all get arrested. Dun dun dun.
And like all this is started because Emily Carter is still working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and she tips off Steve and Sam to where Bucky might be, or where Bucky might be headed or hiding out. And that's what prompts this whole thing. So Emily Carter is still really, really close with Sam and Steve, carrying on like her sister's legacy of involvement in all of this.
So they're all in captivity in Berlin, I guess. Rogers and Stark continue bickering, blah, 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 blah. And he almost like Tony almost persuades Captain America to go along with him. He's like, almost. And then this is when Steve learns about Wanda's in-house arrest. He's like, no, what is going on? So he does introduce you back to square one. Zemo, our friend Zemo, does some kind of power grid bomb, something or other, shuts it down. So shuts everything down in the facility. Bucky's released and he uses those trigger words, and Buck goes on a rampage. Again, Rogers and Wilson gotta do this is a song and dance throughout this movie. So Bucky gets away in this big helicopter thing, and Steve tries to save him and stuff. More action, it falls, whatever. They fall in the water and then they're back together again. I don't know. It's just more action. So now what happens? So then,
so there's like
so much goes
on the river, and Bucky is.
Oh yeah, both sides start recruiting now.
So Bucky tells Steve that Zemo is going to the Hydra facility in Siberia, where Bucky was created as a Winter Soldier. And guess what? There are more of him. There are actually 5 other super soldiers, and Bucky believes they all still reside there in some way, shape, or fashion. And so that's where Zemo is going to get these other 5 super soldiers and form his own competing army. That's what they think he's doing. Yeah. But regardless, Bucky tells him this is where Zemo is going. And so, believing that Zemo is going to release him on the world, that's when Steve gets out his Captain America phone and starts making some phone calls. And the first person he calls is our boy Clint.
And
what does he want Clint to do?
Wanda.
Bail Wanda out.
Go get Wanda.
Which, Clint is always going to do because he feels that he owes her big time because her brother sacrificed himself to save Clint and his family. So yeah, whatever they want, whatever Wanda needs, Hawkeye is on it.
Yep. And Falcon gets Ant-Man because they had that fight.
That is, I think, in a movie that's pretty tense and dramatic, I think the addition of Ant-Man to the Avengers is some pretty great comic relief. He's like, hey guys, so I failed the audition and, excited to be here. And Sam is just also not really thrilled. He likes Ant-Man just slightly more than Bucky. And that's not saying a whole lot. So it's good to see Scott Lang out there providing some comic relief. But he is definitely on the side of Captain America and Sam. So it seems like Steve is growing his numbers because you've got Sam, you've got Ant-Man, you've got Clint, you've got Wanda. And I think deep down inside, Steve is thinking Natasha is on his side too. But we'll see. So
yeah, it's on the Stark side. He's like, tells Ross, like, we'll give you 36 hours to bring all these guys in. He's like, okay, whatever. Ross is like, whatever, dude. So Tony has Romanoff, T'Challa, Vision,
and the stupid War Machine.
Yeah, he's got those guys on this side, and then he goes and recruits Peter Parker, which is it's fine. It's just kind of lame. The whole thing's kind of lame, I think. He goes and meets his aunt, and whatever it is.
So for y'all who don't know, Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
He's Spider-Man's.
And in this ideation of the Spider-Man universe, he and Tony Stark are super, super close, almost like father-son, big brother, little brother kind of closeness. So that's when we basically see the origin of this relationship. So it's kind of what I was saying. The plot is not so much a plot as much as it is the forming of these interpersonal relationships in this whole giant team building process that we're calling the Avengers.
Yeah, relationships and things that just have to happen, introductions that need to be made, and all that. It just needs to happen for the rest of the movies to make sense. So yeah, Steve Rogers' team goes to the airport because he a chopper. They gotta go to Siberia, and then he's confronted by the Stark side, and then they just have another big fight scene. They're just fights for a while. Throw shit around, break some more stuff, cause some more billions of jets and buses and airport damage, and
this is very much a Michael Bay production, even though Michael Bay didn't have anything to do with this movie.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's
this part
fight.
Felt like you could have just taken names off of it and slapped it into a Transformers movie, and it would have been totally the same thing.
So only two cool things happen that needs to happen. Well, there's a few things, but the main thing, we learned that Ant-Man can get huge. He can get gargantuan. That was important. And Romanoff kind of helps Steve Rogers' side. He's like, can't bring herself to.
She can't fully go on board with Stark. She can't fully go on board with. She can't fully go on board with Stark, and she's not going to fully go against Steve. And so she's going to at least give Steve a break to get away and try and figure out what he needs to do. And then the other important thing is we see Wolverine trying to chase them down, and
Vision just screws up. He sucks so bad, and he hits the War Machine.
And so Vision, they're hollering. Sam or someone tells. It also seems like now Vision is coming to this side of the Captain America Avengers, and so really the only two people left on Stark's side are Peter Parker and our good friend War Machine, who's not such a good friend, but he's still a good friend.
He got paralyzed, dude. He got paralyzed.
Well, yeah. So Vision tries to take him out and instead turns War Machine into a straight up dead stick that plows straight into the ground and leaves him paralyzed. So the next time we see him, he is, in a physical therapy unit with Tony Stark building something to try and help War Machine walk again. But all is not good for our Avengers buddies either.
They send Spider-Man back home to his aunt and get the hell out of here. So then, but Stark learns that Bucky was framed by Zemo. Oh no! And that the Avengers are in a top secret prison.
Who could have possibly imagined that happening? Oh my gosh! Yeah. Everyone except for Tony Stark.
Right. So he gets there, and he helps him out. He realizes that maybe I don't know everything. Finally, he disables the prison, and they all get out of there. Y'all leave.
There's a really, really, really tense conversation between Sam and Tony, and that's where Tony is on. So it's this big prison boat that's like a submarine called the Raft, and so that's where they're all being held. And Tony goes there because he has permission to do whatever he wants from Thaddeus Ross. He's basically trying to get more information about Bucky and Steve, what Bucky and Steve are up to. And so who's going to know the most? That's going to be Sam. And so Tony goes there thinking he is going to break down Sam to get this information. Sam doesn't trust Tony Stark at all. He's not going to say anything. And then somehow Tony magically gets the cameras and the audio turned off so he can tell Sam that he knows that Bucky was framed. Bucky didn't do it. And so that's finally how, Sam kind of gets on Tony's side. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's how he kind of gets him there. He kind of realized.
And he's like, basically, so Sam is like, this is where they're going, but your ass needs to get there, and you need to talk, and you need to make this right, because we can't having this big rift between everybody. We can't be tearing everybody apart. And so we know that Bucky and Steve are en route to Siberia. In the shadows, T'Challa is following them. And now we have Tony Stark, who's going there as well. And he has lied to Thaddeus Ross, telling him where he's going. He just says, I'm just going back to Stark Industries. There's nothing for me to find here. There's nobody for me here. Peace out. I'm Audi 5000. I'm done. But instead, he boards his little chopper and he goes to Siberia, where he does come across Bucky and Steve. And he and Steve reconcile. Even though Bucky's not totally happy with it, he's still, protective, but they're in the warehouse where the super soldiers were made with that super soldier serum. And what do they discover?
Zemo kills them all. Never planned to release them. He killed all of them.
Yes. So Zemo got there and murdered all of them while they were in their little tanks. And it reveals that he is Sokovian and he wants to punish the Avenger. Yeah.
It was his plan all along. Turn them against each other.
Just turn them against each other because his family died in the attack. And this is if the main plot point is just the character development and the relationships, the inter-Avengers relationships is the plot point number one. Plot point number two is tying up loose ends in the history. So we've always seen Zemo is on the phone. He's always listening to messages, but you can never tell if he's actually listening to a voicemail that's like in current time or a recording that's in current time or whatnot. And we find out he's constantly listening to the last voicemails from his family members before they died. Also, as he's kind of exposing this, he shares a video with Tony that shows who murdered his parents. And lo and behold, who murders his parents and steals the blue patches, which are the super soldier serum. And who is it? It is Bucky. And if anything,
you can see that plot twist coming. Seeing that plot twist coming miles away.
Because you know what? What does Tony handle really well? Bad news. What does Tony have? Daddy issues. And what does Tony do? Never thinks things through fully. He just reacts. And so when he sees the video of his mom and his dad die at the hands of Bucky, he's over it. And
he turns back against Bucky and Steve. They start fighting again.
And this is one of the most
more hand fighting.
And then ultimately it ends up being Steve versus Tony.
Hand to hand.
And hand to hand. And Tony has all the advances and advantages of he's got Friday in his ear, he's got extras, shields, he's got a whole suit of armor, and it's literally just Steve with the shield. And
but you know what Steve has? You know what Steve has though? No. Steve has the nose. He has TW. He lunch pailed it to this fight. He has the will to win. You can't measure that.
He's a real blue collar Avenger. He mows everyone's lawn. He shovels snow even when there's no snow, especially for the elderly people on his street.
He just watches so much film. He watches so much film.
So much film. He's a gym rat. Yeah. He's a workout warrior. I mean, this guy literally would Kool-Aid Man it. He's so coachable.
Just coachable.
So he lunch pailed it to the fight today, and with sheer TW, he knocks Tony on. He takes away, Tony hits him with explosives and stuff, and he gets back up, straps that shield on, and what does he do? Slams that motherfucker straight into Tony's arc reactor heart.
Yeah. Boom. He's just take that, sucker.
Boom. And so crushes his arc reactor, and also, unfortunately, as that happens, the Unibeam also takes off Bucky's robotic arm.
Yeah, Bucky lost his arm. Poor dude.
So he finally so that's done. Tony's arc reactor heart is crushed. He's not going to be able to do anything. Steve gets Bucky and starts to leave.
Take off.
But then, because Tony is such a bitter piece of shit, as he leaves, he tells Steve, the shield doesn't belong to you. It belongs to my father, which that's a lie. It belongs to the U.S. government, as we learn in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But he also doubles down and says that Steve is not worthy of being Captain America, the title or the shield, not worthy of any of it. And so what does Steve do? Drops the shield and pieces out.
He might drop it. He might drop that son bitch.
He and Bucky
take off. And then we see T'Challa and Zemo come to terms with what it means about grief and vengeance. This is probably the best part of the movie. And
Yeah.
it's actually some humanity there, and it's pretty cool.
Which is another one of the things I want to talk about and how it relates to the Phase 4 entities that we're starting to see in the shows on Disney Plus, starting with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But you both get to see the grief and vengeance and ultimately forgiveness, because we know that T'Challa knows that while Bucky may have been the hand that caused these things to happen, it ultimately wasn't Bucky or Bucky's decision or Bucky's heart behind it to hurt these people. Just like what happened with Zemo's family. Yes, the Avengers were around for it, but that was not at all their intention. And if they could have avoided it, they would have. And he also, for T'Challa, it is important. He also stopped Zemo from committing suicide, which, we start to see down the line. Maybe he should have just let him go ahead and go forth with it. But Zemo
But I think it's important because, it's T'Challa coming to terms with his grief and death and the evil that men do as well. I think that's why it's so cool. So he's content to send to prison to pay for his crimes. I like that. I mean, that's pretty cool.
And it's kind of, we don't really see it because we haven't had the Black Panther movie yet. And really the only kind of information giving about T'Challa as a human being is just that tiny 2 or 3 minute segment from when Natasha meets him and T'Chaka at the UN, and she's talking about how T'Challa is just so great. He's so diplomatic. He's so great at making peace and conversations and uniting people. And even T'Chaka's father kind of has an offhand comment that T'Challa is better at just being kind of a diplomat for Wakanda than he ever was. Just in how he deals with people and how he handles his emotions and situations and different things like that. And I agree with you, Mr. Worldwide. It was really, really powerful in that moment.
It's the best part of it. It's hands down the best part of the movie. It actually felt like it had heart and it had meaning and it's some depth. It was just exposition and stuff, and hand fighting and stuff blowing up, and it had a little heart to it.
But this isn't going to be the first time we've got. So in the movies, like I said, we did Civil War today. I'm calling up the list. I had to call that up earlier so I can kind of just clue you guys in on what's going to be next. So next is we'll do a run through of all the rest of the characters that we don't have their origin stories or their fill-in stories for. Spider-Man Homecoming, which we kind of got his origin story a little bit in Civil War. Doctor Strange, and then Black Panther. So we're still 2 movies away from
Spider-Man Homecoming. That Spider-Man Homecoming is it's where Spider-Man opens up that restaurant with big plastic cocktails and fried chicken and grits. Is that what that is?
No, he does not. He does not open a
Homecoming
moonshine-based restaurant. This kid from Queens doesn't open up a Southern restaurant that's focused on moonshine and fried chicken. Though I think Teets would be really excited about that if that
like
were
that
the
movie.
case. No.
So let's wrap up the movie real quick. Okay, so so it's Spider-Man Homecoming's next. Okay. So then Zemo's under the custody of Everett Ross. He's in prison, discusses the plan, and the Avengers are fractured. They're back at the Avengers facility. We see Starks as Buddy Rhodes building an exoskeleton so he can walk again, stuff like that.
He's basically building an oversized War Machine
another
suit.
So he can function. They discuss their choices and they kind of get a little philosophical there. They talk a little bit and kind of he believes he made the right choice. Still, Stark receives a package.
This is another heartbreaking thing because this is all like we just talked about T'Challa. This is Steve Rogers, who at the end of the day, he's just has a good heart and he wants to do the right thing. And so he's written a letter to Tony that apologizes for everything that happened and not telling him the truth about Bucky being involved in the murder of his parents, and also saying that he regrets that he just still cannot accept the Accords. It's just not going to do that. In his heart of hearts, he still has to get out and protect and stop all these different things that they know are happening in the world.
Yep.
And he tells Stark that he knows one day it'll come when the team needs him and needs to assemble again. And when that day arrives, Roger or Steve and all of the people who ultimately sided with him
Says they'll be
We'll be
there
there.
whenever he needs. We'll be there when he
So
needs.
that means, it means Wanda. It means everyone that was in the raft, basically. So Wanda and Clint and Sam.
And the raft is a special.
That's a submarine jail.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically everyone that sided with Captain America. I believe Vision, Wanda, all of that. We still have an outlier. We don't know where T'Challa's allegiances lie in this whole thing.
Well, we get a hint though, because he grants asylum to Bucky in Captain America in Wakanda. That's the first. That's kind of like the first big
credits.
thing. Yeah. When you know that Wakanda rules. Let's say like Wakanda's the greatest place on earth.
Yeah. So in your first mid-credit scene, you see the kind of landscape. We're not sure what it's Wakanda. We're not sure what it is anyway, but it is Bucky and Steve, and they've met up with T'Challa, and you can tell they've been having some heart-to-hearts. And Bucky is like, "Look, I can't do this. You'll have to put me under again until you can figure out how to take me completely out of this." And
with Wakanda's advanced technology, like T'Challa's like, "Yeah, we can do that. We can fix it."
Yeah. So until until he can be reprogrammed or completely brainwashed from what's been put in his brain, he's like, "Just put me under." And T'Challa is fully amenable to that discussion, and and Steve, because Steve cares, he wants to make sure that T'Challa knows that if the other nations find out that not only was he not a part of signing the Accords, but that he's also harboring Bucky, who has just done so much. He's done
some bad things. He's done some bad things in the past life.
The governments of the world are going to try to come to Wakanda to find Bucky, and T'Challa, I dare them. He literally just says in the perfect Black Panther statement, "I dare them to try." And so then we get more. So T'Challa is on Team Captain America. So at this point, it really is just Peter Parker, War Machine, and Tony Stark. We have no idea how Hulk or Thor feel about this, though I have an inkling one would be with one side and one would be the other, but we'll talk about that after this last scene. And just in kind of cute, because basically all the post-credit scenes move the movies forward at this point, now that they were filmed in this chronological order. So we know that the next movie is about Spider-Man, because what do we see? We get to see Peter Parker in his bedroom doing some web slinging.
Yeah, he has Tony gave him some little computer or little hologram computer thing.
So he's trying to tell Aunt May that he got the crap beat out of him by a bully when his injuries are actually from an intergalactic fight. But then we get to see she leaves, and that's when Peter pulls out this holographic computer that Stark had programmed into his web shooters, which, again, another Marvel's Avenger Campus tie-in at Disneyland. You can buy a web slinger or web shooter just like that to use on the ride to enhance your web slinging ability. So there it was, Captain America: Civil War. It's one of my top 5 movies. I think behind Age of Ultron, it is the most important movie out of all of them. And it is a tiny bit long, but I didn't mind it. What do you think?
It's a lot long. A lot of exposition, a lot of explaining to do. There's a lot of stuff. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's great. I mean, it's kind of a slog. Some of the things it misses from my favorite Marvel movies, it doesn't, the dialogue doesn't sing, because you got to advance so much plot. The dialogue doesn't really sing. It is clunky. The pacing is weird. So in that respect, it's kind of a chore, but there are some cool things in it. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. I like the way it opens really gritty. I like that. It loses that tone quickly though, so that kind of bothered me. But overall, it's fine. It's not bad at all. It's no Doctor Strange. That thing is a shitbox. But it's not one of the best. It might be not one of the best of the Marvel movies either. It's just a solid movie. It's fine.
So I feel like there are things that I get rewarded more from some of these movies when I've watched them all in the way that we're watching them. So this is my second time through this practice. Well, yeah, second time through this practice, and I absolutely enjoy it this way. And I think I come away. I mean, I know what the end game is for the whole phase of these Avengers. So I come away more rewarded from just the little interactions and like that feel like Easter eggs to me about the relationships between all these characters. How, so Sam has a little drone called Red Wing, and he ends up saving Natasha's ass in the first kind of fight scene. And Sam, like, Red Wing flies and looks her in the face, and Sam's like, "Say thank you," and Tasha's like, "I'm not gonna think that thing."
I'm not gonna think that. There's some cute. I mean, there's the cute, the stuff we're used to. The prototypical Marvel stuff. There's that, and that's the strong point of it.
So I think it's Barton is meeting with Wanda in her room, and Vision just keeps coming through the wall, and she's like, "Didn't I tell you to use the door?"
Yeah, use the door.
And he's like, "Well, it was closed," and it's just like those are the kind of things that we end up seeing help enhance their relationship, and then we see a lot of just their interactions and how formative that kind of stuff was in this movie going forward in Infinity War, and then ultimately in WandaVision, because we see just the snippets into her life and all of that. But I think the one thing that really caught me with watching this movie, after having watched WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you touched on it when you talked about that T'Challa scene, is so much of Phase 3 and how we're starting to see Phase 4 start out is about grief and just independently how do they all handle their grief and handle these kind of challenges and things they face, because that's the difference. That's what keeps them from becoming a villain or becoming someone that they don't want to be. Nobody wants to be a bad guy, but ultimately, who is the one person who doesn't seem to be able to handle their grief at all or at all rationally is Tony Stark. But I think that's also because he refuses to accept what's happened. So we see in an earlier, when he's at MIT talking about the fund that he's starting, we see he's kind of created this whole revisionist history process. So we see him having a conversation with his parents.
He can't get past. Yeah, he can't get
past any of it. And instead, he's going to create everything to make sure that revisionist history is there. So you see, in this whole montage he's doing, his mom is like, "Tell him you love him because you know what's about to happen." And that's the time he kisses him.
In a typical Stark, the program's called BARF, and it's like it has to have that. It's kind of groan-inducing, cringy, but that's Tony. Yeah. So he was like, whatever.
But yeah, so I think it's fair to. Do you think that's fair to say that a lot of, if you had to do kind of like a totem word for about where this phase and going into Phase 4, which the only ones of Phase 4 you've seen are just the 2 TV shows. We haven't watched the post Endgame Spider-Man movie yet, or at least I haven't. I was going to watch it in the context of this.
Yeah.
So we know.
I watched it. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it just basically starts off with him being real sad after Tony died, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. Yeah, but that's my overall feelings. But you know what? We watched it last night again. It went quicker. I guess you kind of know. And there are a lot of there are some good scenes, some good shots. But it's okay.
Like that. So the Ant-Man character is really, really growing on me. I
thought the movies were those were solid movies. I thought they were good.
But it's like watching him. Also, another fun interactive point was watching him just totally fanboy over Captain America. And basically, if Sam could just do a full body eye roll every time that happens, that's what he would do. It would be like, come on, man, just.
But I think that's a huge part of why I like him, because I love Paul Rudd. I love that's why I like Hulk so much, because I love Mark Ruffalo so much, my favorite actors of all time. So I can just watch them, and they just have a certain charm about them that I just cannot get enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So I enjoyed this also because it's a very Tony Stark centric movie that does not involve even seeing her, and you only have her name mentioned in a teleprompter image on the screen, and then just I'm sorry, I forgot that she canceled, which was Pepper Potts. So everyone knows that that's a triggering thing
Right.
for me is Pepper Potts.
Right.
So for you watching this movie, and if you just had to side with characters, who would you put together? Let's say you get to pick a team of 4 Avengers that appeared in this movie. Who would
Okay.
be your team? Who would be your go to war guys?
Just the ones this movie.
Just the ones in this movie.
My number 1 draft pick is going to be Wanda. She's the most powerful. I need that.
So, and then that's perfect. I was hoping you would say that because I want to come back to what we were talking about.
And then my next 2 picks, whatever order I can get them, I'm going to go T'Challa and Cap. My next 2, boom, boom. Those are my dogs. And then I got a 4th one. Damn it, because then I got to pick between Clinton and Black Widow. Fighting Clinton.
Which we always, so early on when you see the 2 of them together, you think they're twins or like brother and sister because they're always wearing the same like leather ninja outfits. But now we know they're best friends. They make the most platonic relationship ever, but they're not twins at all.
No, but I mean, I said Clint was my favorite, so that's good spot. And, and I love Sam too, because that's tough to leave off, but that's how it goes.
So, do you feel that your impression and your preference of Wanda is because you know more about her overall abilities after seeing WandaVision?
I mean, no. I mean, I always knew she was the most powerful, which is also one of the problems of this movie, because like all her power, it's like you just kind of have to suspend disbelief in this movie and like pretend she's not that powerful. This whole thing, so it's kind of weird.
Well, or it's not so much,
especially the fight scenes and stuff. She just like she wanted to control everything, but
I think that's the other thing, and that's why Tony says he wants her imprisoned for her own safety. But it's also because I think he doesn't know how powerful she is. And maybe she doesn't know how powerful she is and how to harness it in the right way. Because remember,
that makes sense.
She and Cap have been working on a lot of things to try and rein in or control that kind of crazy frenetic thing. Because even remember, in Ultron, she's like, look, I can change their mind. I can also, so it's not just the physical red thing. She can send out and she can change what people are thinking or seeing too. And just not knowing that overall kind of effect and what just overall power she has.
Yeah, I think definitely fear. Fears. It's driven by fear. And that's also Tony's way. If anything more powerful than him, so yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because if anyone, that's why. So, well, we know why he always sticks with Rhodes. He's basically creating Peter Parker in his own image.
Yes, trying to. Yeah.
And so yeah,
being the dad he never had. No, if I'm trying to
being the dad.
Life, yeah.
All of that.
When we get all that throughout the other Avengers, when he goes back and sees his dad and stuff, it's just like the preface of what's coming.
Yeah. So that's what Teens and I always joke about every week. It's not an Avengers movie if there isn't a problematic woman or a daddy issue. And so this time, I guess our problematic woman would be Wanda.
Yeah, I guess just weirdly meek and powerless and going through some you're like, what? Yeah,
she's going through some things because
just going through stuff, and that's okay, and I get that. But Romanoff's is amazing. So
Emily Carter is amazing.
She's great too. So they kind of they make up for it. So
we love her, and we see more of her as this goes on, and we definitely see plenty of her in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, Spider-Man: Homecoming is next. There was no Thanos interaction or anything. We basically have just set our sights on what is going to happen because Captain Rogers and his buddies are out of the picture for the foreseeable future until something major until something major and monolithic happens. And ultimately, we're not really going to know what's going on in the cosmic universe because that's what Thor is out searching for the meaning of the Infinity Stones and what this all means and how everything works and what the end game is going to be there. We still have Pity Party Hulk flying around on his Quinjet somewhere. Broke up with Natasha. Is nursing some butthurt feelings and also is in his feelings a lot, and that's why he can't Hulk out. But we will see them soon enough. So, how would you said this wasn't a good movie. That's the one thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's not bad either. It's just kind of there.
All right. So I give this one 4 stars out of 5. It is probably a top 5 Marvel movie for me so far out of the ones that we've seen that I rank in this top 5 in no particular order are Captain Marvel. I've got my list right here.
And I was really excited to watch this one too. That's the interesting thing about it. I was super pumped to watch it, and I love how it opens, and it kind of just becomes a lot of stuff that needs to happen, a lot of plot. So, but it's fun.
Yeah, the only other movie that we've watched before this one that I rank in my top 5 is Captain Marvel. The remaining 3 of my top 5 movies have to happen after this one. So it's Captain Marvel, Civil War, Black Panther, Ragnarok, and Endgame. Are my top 5 Marvel Avengers movies. So this is really the sweet spot for me when it comes to these movies. So any last parting thoughts on the Avengers, on any of the Disney Plus series? I am so excited. When do you want to watch Black Widow this week? Because I'm thinking I'm going to watch it
whenever you're ready. Oh, man. So when does it come out?
The 9th on Disney Plus.
Okay. What day is that?
Friday.
Okay. Well, wait for me so we can watch it. Don't be rude. I'll watch it Friday. I'm going to do. All I gotta do is gotta watch UFC on Saturday.
All right. We'll see if Teats wants to watch.
Also, to our huge crowd out there, be sure to watch Summer of Soul streaming on Hulu. 5 stars, greatest movie out there. It's killer. It talks about the Harlem Soul Festival in 1969, performance by Stevie Wonder, Mahalia Jackson, Sly Stone, the Staple Singers. It is tremendous. So please watch it. It's the best you're going to watch all year. It's amazing. Directed by Questlove of the Roots. Just get on that. Killer.
Yes. So also, Teats will be back with me tomorrow and the next Monday for Spider-Man Homecoming. So shout out to everyone watching. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button. Hit bell notifications because we've got a giveaway for a $50 gift card coming up. And then follow us on social media and our website, crescentlakeclub.com, to find out if you watched tonight's episode of Marvel Monday, how you could win that super awesome Clint Barton Hawkeye Victory Shawarma Funko Pop. I'll be back tomorrow night with Teats live here at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Twitch. And it is a very special happiest hour. And it's Teats' Tuesday Takes. So what we're going to be doing is
Teats' Tuesday Takes.
So we're basically just catching up with Ryan. He had such an amazing, fun-filled trip. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys followed some of his adventures on our Instagram as he stayed at Endless Summer Surfside Inn and Suites and Portofino Bay Resort at Universal, but also did some cross-park days. So went from Universal to Disney for a couple days to see fireworks and such. So we'll be doing that. That starts right here live at 8 p.m. So from me and the rest of the Crescent Lake Club, we'll see you real soon. Thanks, guys.